Kenu Katsugi, Kin Katsugi, and Jigoku Otoshi. All of these are different variations of a firefighter carry into a throw. At our school, Kinu Katsugi is a standing firefighter's carry throw, and Kin Katsugi is a kneeling firefighter's carry throw. I've seen some other schools do it in other ways. Some of them do it the same way that we do. Either way, one of them is standing, one of them is kneeling. I'm going to go through both of them and then follow up with Jigoku Otoshi, which is a standing version that has different variations of numbers of spins before a throw. And to help me, I have taken an egg crate off my bed, just wrapped it up with a couple of belts, put a broom down here in the bottom to give it a little bit of form, particularly around the legs and waist, and wrapped a gi around the top. You could do this with an old carpet, a long duffel bag with some pillows or clothes in it, or if you have a heavy bag, just wrap a gi around the heavy bag. It's a way that I can practice this with some weight and some resistance. This one's a little bit tall for me. That's actually helpful. This is a throw that's a little easier for shorter people, but tall people can certainly do it. It's just like ogoshi. On ogoshi, I got to get my hips below you. So if I'm taller than you, I just got to work a little harder to get those hips underneath. That's also a good reason why we have a throw where we drop down to our knee. It's going to make it easier to get low underneath those shoulders, get those shoulders low below the belt. So like ogoshi, I need to get my hips below the belt. On these, I need to get my shoulders below the belt. A couple different setups, a little more acrobatic. Sometimes I will see people there's a punch, and I'm not going to stop the punch. I'm kind of curling inside of it. The punch is coming around this way, turn my palm out, kind of grab and turn into it. I don't completely turn my back. I'm going to turn until I'm perpendicular. Create that winding motion, reaching through between the legs as I pull over my shoulders and throw. What I want to really focus on here is my relationship, my shoulders and their hips. In this case, I'm going to focus on the belt. Since this doesn't have hips, you get the sense that the hips are just below the belt. The way that I'm going to set this up and the way that we typically do it at the school is we actually stop the motion. A roundhouse comes, I do a two-hand block, and then the outside hand grabs and pulls, and the inside hand, I throw a back fist. So I'm bending the person forward this way. That's going to help me load them and get them on top of me. If I just block that punch and pull, they're a little too straight, and I have to really lift that weight up onto my shoulders. I see a lot of strong people get away with this, and they're just muscling that up. It's going to put a lot of pressure on your back, especially if they're resisting or if you have to do this against somebody who's a lot heavier. So when I get in, two-hand block, pull the arm forward, back fist right in above the hip, not into the hip bone, but just a soft spot right above there. Flatten them out, pulling them over the shoulders. You can see I'm in a good squatting position here. When I lift, I go straight up. Straight up. I'm not bent over. My back is straight. I'm looking up, and I'm just using my legs. I'm lifting with my legs, not with my back. Whenever you feel yourself having to pull somebody up on top of you, you're lifting with your back. How I'm going to get in is I'm going to put my head right against the belt, right on top of the hip. You can also just do this from wrestling around. I've got somebody in kumikata. I pull and I duck in. So here is where I want to be in, nice and close. The mistake that I see for most people is they're just too high. Their neck's like up here in the armpit or against the rib cage. And then they're trying to lift all this weight. Most of their body weight is still below my shoulders. So I need to get in deep. My neck's attached to the shoulder, and as I keep pulling them across my back, at least half of their weight, all their upper body is all the way across my back and even leaning to the other side. So now I just got to lift those legs up. I teeter them onto me, get into a squatting position to help lift, and then I keep pulling, and I sweep on the other side. Other side, block, pull and back fist, pull across. So my neck is attached to the hips. I already have most of their weight. Reaching between the legs, both my leg steps between the legs and my arm reaches between the legs. There's no in between here because it's all one motion, but you get the idea. I could also just put my forearm across the thighs and lift, but I like to get as deep as I can. Pull and throw. The kneeling version is exactly the same thing, except I'm going to kneel on my outside leg to help create sort of a sacrifice motion. The dropping is going to help create a circular motion for momentum. It's also going to make it easier for me to get my shoulders underneath the hips and to really load them onto me. This is a more common throw in wrestling, especially I'm in tight and I just take a shot. I go in and I drop that outside leg. Here. Kata, blocking two hands, hitting with the back fist, pulling them over, and then I'm going to drop this outside leg as I shoot in and throw. Block, hit, pull, drop the outside leg, and throw. Jigoku Otoshi is the same as the first one, except once I lift them up, I'm not throwing them immediately. The way we practice it, once I get somebody up, I make 3 full circles in one direction, 3 full circles in the other direction, and then throw. I've seen some schools where they just do it once, pick them up, one turn the other way and throw. I've seen a half turn and throw. I've also just seen a single half turn, which I think is probably the most realistic version. I get somebody up, I turn halfway and throw them back the way they came. Maybe you have a group of people, this is good for Suigetsukan. You get in, you lift them up, and there's more people that way. I want to turn back and face them and throw them back into the group. This is one you commonly see in like professional wrestling. You get somebody up and you're like walking around making a big show of this. I think it's unrealistic to think that if someone's conscious and able to fight back, I'll be able to turn around that many times. But it also is really good practice for uke, because I'm going to get you really disoriented. You're going to be up in the air, spun around 3 times, one way, then the other, and then I'm going to throw you. So it's great ukemi practice because I'm going to be dizzy and I'm going to be really high in the air before I get thrown. So it really forces me to have good ukemi. This is a high level ukemi ball. So however many ever rotations you want to do, probably fewer is more practical, but more is going to be better ukemi practice. Anyways, blocking, hitting, dropping underneath. And instead of just tossing them over, I pick them up, and at the very least, make a half turn and throw. Our full version: block, hit, pull, lift, each, knee, san, each, knee, san. Good luck practicing Kinu Katsugi, Kin Katsugi, and Jigoku Otoshi at home.